This Pucks Across Borders Wednesday preview brought to you by the one, the only First Round Collectibles. Right now, with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off whatever sports card your heart desires. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off dozens and dozens of cards all over the store. And with our promo code Sports Addict, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. Do the math. 20 becomes 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60. With our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off regular priced and sales priced items. Hockey, football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, boxing. They have it all. So head over today. Use our promo code Sports Addict for 10% off every card in the store. That's the number one, STRoundCollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah. I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax. Original. I am not the same as these.
And welcome to Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live and Total Apex Sports, brought to you by First Round Collectibles. I am Mark Sauter. It is great to be here on a Wednesday afternoon. A little overcast here in Toronto. I'm sure our boy Chucky is going to talk about how it's like a million degrees and sunny in Bahamas. I can't wait for that comment. Always makes me jealous, but it is good to be here. Best night of hockey in the NHL playoffs last night. We're going to talk about it. Rangers with a crazy 2 overtime win in game 2, and the Colorado Avalanche complete the comeback and come back to win game 1. We have one game 2 tonight, one game 1. We're going to get into all of it. But first, as always, I'm Mark Sauter, and right beside me at the top of the screen, you read his work about the NFL on Gridiron Heroics. John, how we feeling on a Wednesday morning?
Mark, you took the words right out of my mouth, man. Like, last night was one of the most entertaining nights of the playoffs we've had so far, in my opinion, at least. I think I was looking forward to talking hockey more than most games that we've had so far. So I'm looking forward to today's episode.
That's why I like talking first, right? Just say everything meaningful right off the bat and let you guys pick up the scraps. You know what I mean? Makes me look great. Makes you guys look okay. It's the beautiful thing about a host. And at the bottom of your screen, you read his work about the NFL on Gridiron Heroics as well. You read his gambling picks on winners and whiners. You read his NHL analyses amongst other sports on TotalApexSports.com, and you see him all over Total Apex Sports, talking football, basketball, baseball, talks about it all. Andre, how you feeling on a Wednesday, bro?
I'm feeling pretty good, and I know everyone's going to want to hear about the NHL playoffs. We will get to that, but I implore you, if you have the time, to look up Poland versus Denmark yesterday. Not because of the action on the ice, but because you'll have no idea what's going on. For those that don't know, both of their country colors are red and white.
That's hilarious. I completely missed that.
Yeah. I had a hard time keeping up.
I was going to say the classic European clash of Poland and Denmark. No disrespect to anybody over there, of course. All right, let's get right into it. We'll start with game 2 of the Rangers and the Carolina Hurricanes. The Rangers just always massive underdogs. Maybe not massive, but always underdogs for whatever the reason. I was saying pre-show to these guys that tomorrow, and we'll talk about this tomorrow morning, and I'm interested to see how the odds will change. But tomorrow, the Rangers are plus 142 in game 3, President's Trophy winners. They're up 2-0 in the series, and they're plus 142. We're going to talk about that game tomorrow, but as far as last night goes, let's get into what we saw. Andre, we'll start with you, man. What did you see from your boys and the Kings as well in game 2 last night?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that there's a lot of things that happens. It's hard to know where to start. But I guess I'll start with special teams. Special teams and goaltending. That's how the Rangers tend to win games, especially come playoff time. It's where if you're the Canes, you got to kind of play even, at least on the special team side of things, if you want to win. And that's 2 games in a row where they've fallen flat on their face, especially with the power play. And it's cost them both games so far. Now, being down 0-2 means absolutely nothing. Being down 3-1, if it gets to that point, would also mean absolutely nothing. It's very doable to come back from that in hockey, but the Canes, they're working very hard. I think they're winning the effort battle in this series for sure. They're definitely winning 5-on-5, or at least they did yesterday. That'll teach me to ever bet under 20.5 saves on Igor Shesterkin, but they're letting it slip through the power play not being able to catch in. They're letting it slip by the PK getting too aggressive, leaving the Rangers wide open in the best spots on the ice. So if you're Carolina, you keep it up, you shore up that power play when you go home. You have to feel good about going back to the Garden 2-2. If you're the Rangers, you think, you keep scoring first. You keep scoring 2 goals a game, 3 goals a game, whatever, 5-on-5, and you're going to win the series. So Carolina outplayed them, probably definitely deserved to win that one yesterday, you would think, but they're not making the plays that they need to when they have the advantage from the penalties. It'll be interesting to see. Riley isn't going to be that much of a home ice advantage for him, which is also going to be kind of weird and tough time. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in PNC because they are a really good team when they're at home.
It's interesting too with regards to that game because in game 1, our big conversation was the power play, right? 2 power plays for the Rangers, 2 goals, total of 23 seconds on the ice in power play time, and you got 2 goals. Last night, only 2 power play goals again. Better for the Hurricanes in the sense, well, better, I guess. The fact that there were only 2 power play goals is better, but they took 7 penalties last night, and the 7th, they were 1 for 6 on the power play. The Rangers were heading into the last power play of the game, which was in second overtime, which was the power play where the Rangers scored to win the game, right? So if you're the Canes, it's like, okay, we were 1 for 6, but and then 2 for 7, but that second goal again on the power play, like this team has to figure out, like they cannot, and they had 5 power plays of their own last night. If memory serves correct, that means that they're 0 for 10 on their own power plays, and they've allowed 4 power play goals. So that is a huge factor leading in. The other thing is, it seems like in this series, and you're right, like Carolina played a much better game last night. Not that they played, terrible in game 1, but they did play better last night. It just feels the way this series is going is unless you beat the Rangers like 5-2, it just feels like the Rangers are going to find a way to win. And I know it's only 2 games, but it just feels like if you keep the Rangers in these games long enough, the Rangers are going to find a way. Carolina was up 3-2 in the back half of that third period, and the Rangers found a way to tie it up and to stretch it to a second overtime and win the game. So if I'm the Carolina Hurricanes, I in the locker room, that they're, together and they, feel like they can win and they're going to say all the right things one game at a time. And the series isn't over until you lose a game at home and blah, blah, blah. But if you're a Carolina fan, like watching these games, I feel like if the Rangers are down by 1 goal in the third period, they're going to win the game. That's just how you feel watching it. John, what about you, man? What do you see in that game last night?
So there's a few things I can take away from the game last night. I agree with Andre. 5-on-5, Carolina was the better team last night, straight up. Like if it was 5-on-5 for all 60 minutes plus overtime, I truly believe Carolina would have won that game. But there were other factors that contributed to the loss, which I'll get into now. But I do think they played better than game 1. But like you said, man, it's not good enough. It's not good enough the way it's going. And maybe I'm being harsh with this take, but it's my take from the first 2 games. I'm calling for Anderson's head. I don't think he's good enough to keep up with Igor right now. Like Igor had the kitchen sink thrown at him last night, and he still won the game for the Rangers, arguably. I truly believe he is the reason the Rangers are up 2-0 at the moment.
I don't disagree with you, and sorry to cut you off, but I just want to ask question. So you use the phrase calling for his head. So obviously you don't want to see him killed. So, but
yeah.
Are you saying they should make the goalie change? Because they got the rookie back there, right?
That's what I'm saying. I think they need to make a change.
Okay.
I don't think he's playing good enough right now to keep up. Like, he's not playing terribly, but I don't think he's keeping up with Igor quite enough, considering everything else Carolina has to offer. And I'm not blaming Anderson solely because I think the special teams is something to address, because it was better in game 2 than game 1. Because, like you said, in game 1, it was 23 seconds, 2 for 2. It was definitely better, but it's still not quite good enough because the Rangers had 2 power play goals last night, one of them being the game winner. And Carolina hasn't taken advantage of the power play at all, and they had their chances last night. And I don't think their PK has been truly awful because they had some shorthanded opportunities that threatened the Rangers for sure. I think Igor saved them several times last night, which is why I want to call out Anderson a little bit, because I don't think the Rangers defense was fantastic. I think Igor won that game for them more than anything. And Anderson, I don't want to say he lost the game, but Igor's outplaying him right now for sure. And I do think Carolina needs to make a change because the first 2 games of this series, I have not been impressed with Anderson. And I do truly believe 5-on-5 Carolina's the better team. So, but you need a goaltender you can count on. And I don't think Anderson is it for them right now, at least against the Rangers. So I feel like Carolina needs to shake things up.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about, goaltending and you can have a terrific game. Or you can play pretty well, but it's the right save at the right time, right? That's what it's all about. And that overtime goal last night, give credit to the Rangers, but that was leaky. And so I don't disagree with you. Yeah. In my mind, the rookie had a really, really good season. There's no doubt about it. If he played more, obviously Bedard was going to win the Calder probably no matter what. If the kid played more, maybe he would have been a finalist. You do want to lean on experience, right? And you do want to lean on the guy who's been there before, who's done it before. But I can't argue with you, man.
And credit to Igor, by the way, because he's pretty much the second best goalie in terms of a streak in the playoffs right now. 29 straight playoff appearances, 3 or less goals. The only guy that has outdone him is the guy that's the backup goalie for the Rangers right now, and Jonathan Quick. So shout out to Igor. I think he's more than proven himself.
Well, and 15 saves over the course of
Yeah.
2 overtime periods, right? Like he played
54 saves last night too. That's a hell of a game from him. I got to give him his due.
I feel like switching to Kachetkov is kind of like an Islanders move, though, what they did in the first round, where you try to spark it with Sorokin and then it blows up in your face and you're down 3-0 instead. Where in overtime, I know he gave up the last goal and he probably should have controlled that, not like let the rebound. But I feel like Anderson in overtime played pretty well. Like, I feel like he's been getting better as the games and series drag on. And if you kind of take him out of that groove when the rest of the team is skating well, and then Kachetkov as a rookie lets in a couple leaky ones, or he's not sharp at first because he feels pressure or whatever, then you build yourself a bigger hole. So I don't know if I would say that's the right move for them.
I think like the more that I think about it, I think that if you're going to make the move, it has to be for game 3, right? Because if you go down 3-0 and you didn't make a move, then the series is lost. You're not beating the Rangers 4 games straight. You're not. So if you want to make the move, now's the time to make the move. However, with what you just said, Andre, if you make the move and you get pumped, like that's not a good look either. So to me, I feel like you should just go with the guy who brought you, because either way you're screwed. Like, and in the playoffs, if you score 3, but at the same time, John, like if you score 3 goals in the playoffs and you have the lead in the third period, you gotta get a save and win that game, right? So
No doubt.
I see what both you guys are saying. I think I would stay with Anderson just because, like, this is a must-win game, and I want the guy who's been there before. Now, as a Leaf fan, I know that he's been there before, and it hasn't turned out great. So we'll see. We'll see how much that matters. But it'll be interesting to see tomorrow night for sure. All right, let's move on. Last night, in the nightcap, the Dallas Stars jump out to a 3-0 lead, and surprise, surprise, Colorado, they shift. There you go. That was a weak. So I don't know what that snap was, but that crazy shift that the Avs do, they woke up, scored 3 straight, went to overtime, won the game. John, let's start with you, man. What did you see in that Colorado-Dallas game last night?
All right, so that game was a roller coaster in my opinion. I didn't watch the first period mainly because I was keeping an eye on the Rangers overtime. I'll just say, just based on the way the game was flowing, it was pretty clear Colorado was seemed rusty in the first period. I mean, Dallas gave up 3 goals. Dallas scored 3 goals, my bad. And Colorado didn't get anything going until the second period. But man, once Colorado got going, it was like it was a streaky game. Like the first period, Dallas dominated, and it was pretty clear which team played recently and which team was off for a week. But it's unlike Florida, though. Colorado felt like they only needed a period to get back in their groove because the second period was all Colorado. By the beginning of the third period, they tied the game. But I will say Dallas showed some resistance because in the last 10 minutes of the game and early overtime, it felt like Dallas had the edge. They just couldn't get that last crucial goal they needed because, like, credit to Dallas, they limited Colorado's opportunities in the last 10 minutes of regulation. And in overtime, Dallas had the first 5 shots on goal. So it felt like it was still there for the taking despite Dallas blowing the lead. But Colorado found a way, and I want to give Colorado defensive credit at least. Like defensively, they played well. In regulation, I believe they only had 17 shots on goal, Dallas. So I think Colorado did a great job limiting the opportunities. Maybe not the best play from their goaltender, but they did enough to survive and win. And I think the fact that Colorado came up with that win when I think had every inclination was towards a Dallas early victory and maybe Colorado bouncing back in the future. I think the fact the Avalanche still found a way to win the game, that's a bad sign for Dallas, in my opinion. I think they're a little outclassed here. I'm a little more concerned about the Stars than even the Hurricanes right now because I think Colorado's still finding a way to win that game despite every sign that Dallas should have won that game. Bad news for the Stars. And it's going to be very tough to hold this team back going forward because it's not like Colorado had a million shots on goal either. Dallas, I think, did a great job for half the game, but when Colorado gets on a roll, I think they showed they're tough to beat.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few different things you can take away from last night. For me, it really comes down to one thing is, and this kind of is my whole theme for this second round, especially this series, and especially in the game that we're going to preview tonight with Boston and Florida. This comes down to goaltending. And it comes down to the fact that when Ottinger is Ottinger, he's the best goaltender in this series by a long shot. However, Ottinger has been inconsistent, to say the least, all season long. So, if you're going to allow 4 goals on 26 shots, then Dallas needs to win these games 4-3, 5-4, whatever it is. Alexander Georgiev, the guy, ever since that game 1, he's played very, very well. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. Game 1 against the Jets, he got lit up. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the guy, Andre. I know you love him. He's your boy. But if you're only putting up 22 shots, like, you got 3 goals on 22 shots. You have to find a way to just pump the dude full of shots. Like, 22 shots is not enough when you're playing a goaltender whose confidence can leak in a hurry. You know what I mean? I just feel like if you're playing a goaltender like Georgie, if you only give him 22 shots, he's fine with that. That's what he wants, right? Guys like Shesterkin, guys like Bobrovsky, Swayman as well, the more shots they get, the better they are, right? With Georgiev, I don't think that's the case. So for the Dallas Stars, they played 3 periods of hockey. How long was the overtime period? You guys have that? I don't remember.
I can pull it up real quick. I don't remember the exact time of the goal, though.
Yeah.
It was 11 minutes in.
Okay. So you play 3.5 periods of hockey. In not one of those periods did you get double-digit shots, right? Like, first period, you got 9. What's that?
I was just going to say, Colorado had very limited shots in overtime, but they just took advantage of their chance.
But the one period where the Avalanche got double-digit shots, they got 2 goals and brought themselves back into this game, right? Like, yeah. To me, you put up 9 shots in the first period if you're Dallas, and then 3 shots in the second, 4 shots in the third, 6 shots in overtime. Like, you got to shoot the puck at the net with Georgiev. Like, it's no disrespect to him. It's just from what my eyeballs see. Like, if he gets 24 or less shots on net, he's very comfortable. But when he's getting 30, 35, 40 shots on net, he's going to be skittish. And that's just what we've watched the whole year. So to me, I'm not worried about Dallas. Their defense, they don't have Makar, but their defense is better. But they don't have Makar. Their offense is way more balanced, but it's not as top heavy as the Avalanche. Like, they don't have a McKinnon, Nikushkin, Rantanen. Like, they don't have those guys. I like Dallas's team. I picked them to win this series. But if you're only getting 22 shots on net, you're not going to win. It's just like bottom line, not against this Colorado team, because they're clearly have they. I think this was. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I think this was their 6th playoff game. This was their first game allowing or scoring less than 5 goals, right?
Yeah.
And they got 4.
I think there's only been like 3 or 4 periods they haven't scored a goal in the entire playoffs. Like,
right.
I think last night in not the third period. I think the first period was like the 4th period in the entire playoffs they didn't score a goal.
Right. So if they're going to score 4 goals every night, which they clearly have been, you got to shoot the puck.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway. Andre, what did you see in that game last night?
Well, first of all, Georgie will always be my hero because while he was a Ranger, he punched Tony DeAngelo in the face and got him kicked off the team afterwards. So let's clear that right away. Love Georgie. In all seriousness, though, I think we all expected Colorado to start a little bit slow, be a little bit rusty.
Yeah.
And we knew Dallas was going to have to weather a storm at some point. That's the thing with this Avalanche team. It happened in game 1 against Winnipeg. They're going to figure out how to put pressure on you. They're going to figure out how to get good shots. And it's up to your goalie, your defense, and those nice, shiny red crossbars to keep them out of the net. Dallas couldn't hold on. And they honestly got lucky because I feel like Colorado hit 3 posts during that game. Makar, McKinnon, and I don't remember who the other one was, but I distinctly remember 3 posts getting hit. So that's the 5th time this season, 4 in the regular season, and then game 1 where Dallas gave up 4+ goals to this Avalanche team. You know what you got to do now. You got to score 5 at least if you want to win, because obviously you're not getting the stops you need to. So to your point, Mark, 22 shots is not going to give you 5 goals. Not unless you have 10 perfect yawning net scoring opportunities. You need to generate more offense against Georgiev. He is the weakness of this team. But their skaters are so much faster. They're more physical. They're better with, stick handling, hand to eye, just batting pucks out of air, clearing the zone, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be hard for Dallas to get these shots. They're going to need to really work hard. They're going to need to put in a Canes-like effort, if you will, to get the shot total required to get 5 goals. If you're that offense, maybe 30 shots a game gets you 5. 5 to 4 is your best case scenario for winning, assuming that Colorado's going to score 4 on you every time. But Dallas should be concerned. You can't let that one slip away at home. Not up 3-0. Not after you just went down 2-0 against the Knights and had to go to 7 games. So kind of a nightmare scenario for the Stars after that first period. But series isn't over. It's just 1 game.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the shot total for Colorado, like we talked about before, right? Like 5 shots in the first, 11 in the second, which still isn't that many for Colorado. 6 in the third, 4 in the 11 minutes that overtime gave us. That's a really good defensive effort, right? So if you're putting up that kind of defensive effort and you're not going to get the big save when you need it, yeah, you gotta get those shots on net, man. Huge. And Joe in the chat, you're 100% right. Like, I think that not only was that a game that Dallas needed because they were up 3-0, but I would be willing to place money on that being the lowest shot total for Colorado in this series. So, that's what I think.
Just to co-sign on that, I agree. Just because it felt like the first period was Colorado warming up after not playing for a week. I don't think Dallas will get that much of a head start again the rest of the series, which is why I think it was so important for Dallas to hang on to that lead, especially being up 3-0. And like I said earlier, I think this is why I'm more concerned about Dallas than even Carolina right now, because that's a game you just cannot let slip under those circumstances. Being up 3-0, taking advantage of maybe a momentum situation you had on Colorado, despite not even getting that many shots on goal, still taking a 3-0 lead. Like Dallas had maybe 15 shots after 2 periods on goal. So I think this is a huge missed opportunity for Dallas, and it's making me concerned how long the series is going to last for them at the rate they're going.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's move on into tonight's action. 1-2, and then a series getting started. Canada has been waiting. Edmonton and Vancouver ended. They ended their first rounds like a month ago. And here we are finally starting the second round tonight, the series that Canada can't wait to watch. But let's start first with game 2 in round 2, the Battle of the Atlantic final, if you will. Boston in Florida for game 2. Florida still massive favorites. They were minus 175 half an hour ago when I put this in. They are now minus 170, a little bit of Boston money coming in. The Bruins were plus 145. They are now plus 142. The over is 5.5 at plus 100. The under is minus 120, plus 1.5 for the Bruins, minus 185, minus 1.5 for the Panthers, plus 154. Andre, let's start with you, man. What do you see in this game tonight?
Man, what happened in game 1? That's Boston. Look at you. I don't see it happening again. Listen, opportunists is what we've been calling this Bruins team. They've got I'll say Rangers-esque quality to them, where you just expect the goalie to stand on his head, keep the ship afloat, and then when you get your chances, you capitalize, you score, you put pressure on the other team. The difference being this Panthers team is so aggressive.
Yeah.
Not just with physicality, but just relentlessly going after the puck. And I don't know if Boston can survive like that with the way they've been playing for most of this postseason. So, and Bobrovsky is a great goalie as well for the Panthers. So I just think the Panthers bounce back and they really give it to them this time around. The Bruins have given them fits all year, which is kind of strange because this Panthers team is great, on top of the fact of they came back 3-1 last year in that first round. That kind of gave them the confidence to not only get to the Cup Finals last year, but climb up the standings this year. So 5-game losing streak against Boston snaps tonight. Panthers multi-goal win. They go back to be in town, tied 1-1 in this series.
Yeah, I mean, give shout out to John. He talked about this in this series preview that we did about the revenge factor. I kind of downplayed it. I didn't really think of it like that. But the proof's in the pudding. The Bruins have not lost to the Panthers all year long. Then they go out and they win 5-1. Now, I think Boston played well on Monday. They took advantage of opportunities, got the goals when they needed to. Bobrovsky did not look that great. There were some beautiful goals, but they were all goals that I feel like Bob usually gets. I don't think that's going to happen again. His numbers in the playoffs aren't terrific, but you got a 6-goal game in there by Tampa when they were fighting for their lives in game 5 of the last series, or game 4 of the last series. You got 5 goals that the Bruins put up, only 4 of them with Bob in the net. To me, Tampa, or Florida rather, had 39 shots on net the other night. I thought for large part, Florida played well. I thought they were physical. Reinhart and Kachuk combined had 11 shots on goal. I thought they played well, and they just couldn't get the big save. They go into the third period down 3-1, and within 10 minutes, if that, Boston scores a goal, and the game's kind of over. Here's the thing for me, and maybe this is just John getting in my head. He's been talking about this a lot, really beating this drum. This is the thing for me. Florida Panthers minus 170, that's too expensive, clearly. The 60-minute line minus 105 for the Panthers, I'm looking at that. I like those odds. Now, minus 105 is better than the odds that I'm about to recommend. For me, I feel like the under is the best bet in this game. And I feel that way because I really do think that even though I don't think the Panthers necessarily played bad defensively, I didn't really get that vibe. I think Bob's going to have a night tonight. But I feel like you just got to expect Swayman to never allow more than 3 goals ever again. Like he's by far the best goaltender of the postseason. Swayman's playing out of his mind, and what he does is keep the game close and give your team the chance to respond. And so for me, the under 5.5. When was the last time? And I'm sure it's happened. All of these of these totals have been 5.5 for the whole playoff. So I'm sure it's happened, but you get where I'm coming from when I say, when was the last time that a under 5.5 was minus 120? Under 5.5 is minus 120. That's crazy. So to me, the under is the play here. No matter who wins, it's a low scoring game. I think Bob bounces back. I think Swayman continues to be Swayman. Give me the under. I do agree with you, Andre. I do think Florida wins this hockey game. But I really, really like that under. I really do. And a drum that I beat the last game, I really like Carter Verhaeghe. He's like my Wyatt Johnston of this series. Plus 145 for Carter Verhaeghe to score a goal. But give me that under all day long. And the fact that it's minus 120 is infuriating, but it kind of tells the story. John, what do you see in this game tonight?
I'm right there with you, man. Like, I think the under is my favorite play in this game for sure. For pretty much every reason you laid out. I pretty much trust Swayman with my life when it comes to gambling right now. He is like on that big of a roll. I swear the last 5 games he started speak for himself. From like game 4 of the Leafs series up until game 1 of this series, Swayman's just been on a roll. And like I said in the preview of the series, I think Boston did something right, establishing an identity with Swayman being the starter going forward. Hot goaltender. He's given me no reason to doubt him at this point. And Florida is not exactly an elite scoring team, so I kind of trust Swayman to hold up. And I agree with you about Bobrovsky as well. I don't think he gives up 4 goals again. And I don't think Boston scores 5 again in this game. So that's why I'm co-signing the under 5.5. I really think this will be a tight game. And I think the way Swayman's playing right now, it's very hard to bet an over. It really is. And Bobrovsky's just too good of a goaltender to give up 4 goals again. I just really believe that. With that said, I think the odds are not speaking to me. I don't trust Florida enough right now with the way Swayman's playing. Like, I don't trust the 60-minute line or the puck line enough to bet on it, which is why from a gambling perspective, under 5.5 is also my favorite play in this game. If I had to pick a side, I think I'd agree with you that the Florida 60-minute line would be the best bet, but I'm so much more confident in the under than that. It's by a mile. So if you're talking about a betting recommendation, go bet the under.
Yeah, and I mean, let's just watch the tape, right? The only game where Boston has allowed more than 2 goals in regulation was game 2 of round 1, and Allmark was in net. That's just kind of that's just the way it's gone. It's right there in front of us. So really interested to see. And listen, don't get me wrong. I would love to see Boston get pumped 5-1 tonight. That would make me nothing would make me happier than that. But I just don't see it. All right, let's move on. We got one more game to go over tonight, and it is the beginning of a series. So as we go around, let's give a quick preview on what we see in this series, and then let's hit on these games. Round 2, Edmonton minus 260. No love for the division champs. Minus 260 for Edmonton. Vancouver, they are on their fifth goalie. They're on their third goalie of the playoffs. They're plus 220 to win this series. As for the game tonight, Vancouver is the odds are shifting a little bit. Some more Edmonton money coming in. It was minus 130. It's now minus 135. The Canucks were plus 114. They are now plus 110. The over is 6 at minus 118. The under is minus 102. Minus 1.5 for Edmonton's plus 185. Plus 1.5 for Vancouver is minus 225. Andre, let's start with you, man. What do you see in this series, and what do you see in this game?
Another series where the team, or one of the teams, probably the team you wouldn't expect to win the series based on the odds, swept the other one during the regular season. The Canucks, 8-1 win at home. A couple days later, 4-3 win in Edmonton. A month later, 6-2 win at home. And then April 13th, a 3-1 win in Edmonton. So the Canucks have had success keeping the Oilers out of their net, which is really weird because the Oilers have not struggled getting shots up against this team. They had 40 in one of the losses. They had 43 in another one of the losses. They had 33 and 27 in the other 2 games. They're getting their shots up. Just the goalie, the defense, whatever was holding up. Issue with that being the Canucks don't have Thatcher Demko. That is the kind of curse, if you want to call it, hanging over this franchise right now. Their top guy is not in action. So they're probably going to be facing a hole. If he comes back by, I think they said game 4 or game 5, he might come back. If they can make it that far, it's going to be very unlikely they have a serious lead. And then you're going to be asking that guy to save the day, put a cape on. It's hard to see that happening. So I like the Oilers in this series. They're overdue to beat this Canucks team. They've been getting shots up against this Canucks team. They're dodging Thatcher Demko, who is a great goalie, and they obviously have a ton of incredible scorers, including Zach Hyman, who against the Kings, 5 games, he had 20 shots on goal. That's an average of 4 per game. He had 7 goals. He had a hat trick in game 1, scored in game 2, scored 2 more in game 3, scored in game 5 to clinch the series. I think the Oilers are going to win this game in 60 minutes. So give me that 60-minute line at plus 115. I like the over 6 minus 118. I like Zach Hyman over 3.5 shots at plus 120. And I would like a Zach Hyman goal scoring prop as well at minus 105, which is the best odds in this game. It's kind of surprising because McDavid and Draisaitl are there, but it shouldn't be because he had 54 goals this year.
Sean, what about you, man? What do you see in the series and what do you see in this game?
Series wise, I'll just keep this simple. I like Edmonton to win the series. In terms of a betting prospect, obviously the value is not very good at minus 260. So if you agree with me, you pretty much have to find an exact game amount to get any decent value out of that bet. I feel like Edmonton is the better team considering the Demko injury for Vancouver. I'll give Vancouver a lot of credit. I didn't think I was concerned about them in the first round, especially with Demko's health there. But I have to say their goaltending held up for the most part. I mean, Game 4 was about the only game you might have been slightly concerned, but like Vancouver still found a way to win that game, giving up 3 goals. But in the last 2 games of that series against Nashville, they gave up 2 goals combined. So I have to give credit to Vancouver's carousel that is their goalie position right now. They held up in the first round. With that said, I think they're facing a whole other animal in the second round with Edmonton. They're facing one of the best scoring teams in the NHL. And it's almost like Dallas going on to face Colorado here. It's like, yes, you did enough to survive in the first round, but now you're facing an elite scoring team that can just turn it on basically whenever they want. With elite players like McDavid and Draisaitl, man, I don't know if Vancouver is up to it this round. I don't think they'll be terrible or anything. I think they clearly showed in the first round they had the depth to be competitive, but it's one thing to be competitive. We talked about this in the preview of the second round when this first started. Like, it's one thing to be competitive and a solid team. It's another thing to be a Stanley Cup team, a Stanley Cup champion. And I think Edmonton, as far as what I've seen so far, at least, Edmonton's a team that can win the Stanley Cup. I'm not quite sure I feel that way about Vancouver, the way they're currently constructed and the way their current health situation is. I think if they were fully healthy, I might feel differently, but I feel like Edmonton is a different beast, and which is why I'm saying, like, betting wise, I think this is a tough series to bet. I agree with Andre. I think the Edmonton 60-minute line is worth a shot here, as well as the over. I'll co-sign both of those bets for tonight's game. And in terms of a series prediction, I feel like this is going to be a quick one. I'm going to say Edmonton in 5 or 6 games. I just don't feel like Vancouver. It concerns me betting against Vancouver with plus money in tonight's game, and maybe even the series, but at least tonight's game. But I just don't see Vancouver keeping up with Edmonton the way they're currently constructed.
Yeah, I mean, so a couple things are really interesting to me. Number one, you can't, like, listen, it begins and it ends with Connor McDavid, with Draisaitl, and with Hyman offensively, right? And then defensively, it's still offensively because Bouchard is a beast back there. He shoots the puck like 1,000,000 miles a minute. And this is a very, very good team in Edmonton, clearly. But not only are they a very good team, they're loaded with stars and superstars. I still think, and call me crazy, I know it's disrespectful based on his season and based on how he looked against the Kings, but I still think Stuart Skinner is a gettable goalie. I still feel like if Vancouver plays their best, I still feel like Stuart Skinner can be beat. Now, as you guys both talked about, Shelovs, and I now remember how to pronounce it, Shelovs, or Shelovs? Yes, Shelovs. I remember that as Shelovs because of the song She Loves Me, yeah, yeah, yeah. She loves me. That song has triggered in my brain of how to pronounce his name, Shelovs, even though I pronounced it Shelovs about 10 seconds ago. Now, he has played phenomenal. They're saying that Demko is not going to start till at least game 5. At least. So, it's all about Shelovs. he's going to be the guy. He's played better than Casey DeSmith has. Casey DeSmith suffered a minor injury in that series against the Predators. So we're about to see how good this guy really is, because all due respect to Nashville, this Edmonton offense is a way different animal. So that's going to be really interesting to watch. On the other side, Brock Besser, phenomenal. JT Miller, phenomenal. Quinn Hughes, clearly phenomenal. Where is EP40? Where is this guy? Is he hurt? Like, what is going on? 6 points from Besser, 6 points from Miller. You got 3 goals from Lindholm, 3 points from Lindholm, which isn't incredible except for a secondary point getter. You'll take it. EP40, 3 points in the 6-game series and 0 goals. So if the Canucks have a fighting chance, we can talk all day about the Oilers, but from a Vancouver perspective, if you are going to win this series, EP40 has to come to life. And I'm not sure what's going on there. I like Edmonton in this series as well. I'm thinking 6 games. That being said, and also you were talking about the betting value as far as these series goes, John. For Edmonton to win this series with a -1.5 game spread, it's -140. To pick the Oilers in 6 games is +300. So if you want to find any value other than just betting the Oilers to win every night, Oilers 4-2 at +300, I think is one of the best value plays that you're going to get as far as the series itself goes. All that being said, tonight, I think Vancouver comes through with a win tonight. I think that what happened to Vancouver with regards to their goaltending in the last series, I think it really galvanized the group. In practice before Game 6, JT Miller, apparently Shelovs was like wearing some weird pink, like floral dress shirt of some kind, and JT Miller stole it, cut off the sleeves, and wore it during practice. So like, it's just like they're just keeping it loose. They're having fun. They know what's against them. They know they don't have one of the best goaltenders in the league. I like the vibes coming from Vancouver right now, and I feel like they find a way to win this game tonight. They're +110. I'm not going to worry about the total, anything like that. I do feel like if Vancouver wins, the total has to be over. It feels that way. But I like Vancouver to pull one out here. I see them winning 1 on the road, 1 at home, and then potentially lights out after that. Everything inside of me is trying to scream that Vancouver finds a way to win this series. It's hard to picture that. But I actually do see Vancouver getting a win tonight. And I'm all about that too, Andre, the Hyman goal. I'm all about that. I'm also all about JT Miller, man. He's been the best Canuck in this playoff so far. And for him to get a goal tonight is +190. So I'll take that all day. All right, let's wrap up the show, as always, with our best bets, brought to you by none other than First Round Collectibles. Right now with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off regular priced and sales priced items. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off dozens of cards across the whole store. And with our promo code Sports Addict, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Find your favorite sport: hockey, football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, boxing. They have it all. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Use our promo code SportsAddict for 10% off. That's the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, Sports Cards for Sports Fans. John, lead us off, man. What is your best bet in the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight?
Honestly, I'm not feeling a side in either game tonight as a very confident bet, so I'm going to go with a total. I really like the under 5.5 in Boston, Florida. Swayman has been my unofficial guy in the playoffs so far. I feel like he's the best goalie in the playoffs right now. And I agree with your take about Bobrovsky. I think he bounces back tonight as well. Think it's a tight game in Sunrise. So give me the under 5.5 as my best bet in that game.
I knew I should have gone first. You stole my bet. That's where
Yes, you should have. My bad.
I misused my power as a host, and I gave up my opportunity. Andre, what do you see in this slate tonight as your best bet?
Yeah, I'm going to try to rob you blind too. Zach Hyman over 3.5 shots on goal, plus 120. He averaged 4 per game against the Kings. He had 11 shots against the Canucks this season. And I talked about how the Oilers did struggle to get up shots against the Canucks all year, including 2 games with at least 40. For the season, they averaged, that's shots against, that's the wrong stat. They averaged just under 36 shots per game against the Canucks this season. You have to think he's going to get his chances. So Zach Hyman over 3.5 shots on goal.
We had a tough night when it comes to the goalie prop in our best bet. Andre, let's try to redeem ourselves a little bit here. The Florida Panthers had 39 shots on goal in game 1. This team, they love to shoot the puck. Like I said, Reinhart and Tkachuk alone had 11 shots on net in that first game. Jeremy Swayman, over 30.5 saves. I know 30.5 is a big number. I know, but he did it 3 or 4 times against the Maple Leafs. Definitely 3, maybe 4. I can't remember, but he did it a lot against Toronto. He did it on Monday night against Florida. And so I'm taking Jeremy Swayman over 30.5. And even though it's a big number, it's still only minus 115. So I see Florida putting a ton of shots up on net tonight. Over 30.5 saves, minus 115 for Jeremy Swayman. That 30.5 scares me, but I think Florida's going to put that up, and I think Swayman's going to save them.
Yeah, I'll try to call the NHL and see if they can transfer some of Igor's saves over to Swayman tonight. But our best bets, under 5.5 in Panthers Bruins is minus 120. Jeremy Swayman over 30.5 saves is minus 115. And Zach Hyman over 3.5 shots on goal is plus 120. Parlay together, that is plus 630.
Absolutely love it. Everybody, great show today, John, Andre. Great show as always. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you, whether you're watching on Sports Addict Live or Total Apex Sports, whether you're watching live or throughout the day. We appreciate you. Shout out to First Round Collectibles. Use our promo code Sports Addict for 10% off every card in the store. Enjoy the games tonight. Good luck on your bets, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a great day.
Go hard.